Well, hey, everybody. We're back. I'm getting ready to record Mike in the Midwest for this week on a Saturday night. Saturday night special. Here we go. 274. Well, hey, everybody. Welcome to episode number 274 of Mike in the Midwest, our mini podcast for the amazing patrons just like you of the Be Our Guest podcast. Of course, my name is Mike Rallman, host of the Be Our Guest podcast, which you can find at beourguestpodcast.com or wherever you download podcasts. Appreciate you and just hope you're having a great weekend. And I am back from our Disney Destiny cruise and so glad to be back and here in the podcast studio, ready for some great shows this coming week, starting tomorrow night, because we're recording this one on Saturday night, December 13th, 2025. In case you're listening to this one down the road, we got back on Thursday night late and kind of settling back in, catching up with work and the house and all the stuff. And of course, it's the busy holiday season, so it's kind of a crazy time to step away from things for a few days, but we're getting back in the swing of things. And yes, we are doing that thing that this time last week we were, because this time last week we were on our the first night of the cruise where you're settling in, you're finding out about your stateroom, you're meeting your stateroom attendant, you're meeting your servers in the main dining room. You're meeting the folks you're dining with, which we were lucky. We did have a private table originally, but we switched it up because we got to dine with our friends Stacy and her friend from North Carolina. Stacy's another agent at the Magic for Less who was sailing. We talked with her. We said, hey, you want to eat dinner together? We did. And we did that for the sailing. So we got to have some great meals together. And we're going to be talking about that this week on the podcast. But the Disney Destiny, great ship. Wonderful. I don't know a thing about Marvel, like I said, but had a great time on the ship. I will say the sneaker hit of the whole thing, the Dr. Facilier experience, because I don't want to spoil it for anybody who's going on it anytime soon over the next year, couple years, but you want to meet Dr. Facilier in his up close experience. There's no photography allowed. There's no videography allowed. There's no audio recording allowed. They're very serious about that. You get a little 10 to 15 person experience in this very small room. You want to do it. That's all I'm going to say. You want to meet Dr. Facilier because he has two different kinds of experiences. One's just a regular meet and greet where you can meet Dr. Facilier, get a picture, get a video, all that stuff. No problem. It's just like meeting Mickey Mouse, Belle, Donald Duck, no problem there. But then he has these special experiences where you can meet him. It was crazy. You got to meet him and do that. I will say the lines get extremely crazy for that, but I will tell you, I did not wait in a line for that because we skipped the show that night. There was a night of Hercules, and I know that's the show everybody's going crazy for. Pam and I are not show people. We didn't go to any shows. So while everybody else was either in dinner or Hercules, they actually had this experience with Dr. Facilier. There were only about 12 people that went to see Dr. Facilier. Now the line for Dr. Facilier for all the other experiences, probably about 300 people long, and they took 15 people at a time. So you can imagine that most people didn't get in. The experience lasts about 10 to 15 minutes. It's probably 10 minutes. So he's cycling through about 10 to 15 people every 10 minutes. But there was only about 12 people there because either everybody was at dinner or everybody was at the show. And this was right in the dead middle of it. And we didn't go, we had late dinner and the 6 o'clock show was going on. So we just went over and did the Dr. Facilier thing. It was about 12 people, like, holy cow. The handlers had never seen such a small contingent of people waiting to go to the Dr. Facilier experience. Because again, this was on the 4th public cruise. So we were lucky. We did not have to wait. We just sat there for about 10, 15 minutes until it hit top of the hour. Boom, we went in and it was wild. So, but it's worth waiting for. I don't know if it's worth waiting for an hour, but you want to make sure you do it if you get an experience throughout your cruise, like plan, because it took place. I think they did it about 10 times throughout the 4 days. So try to make it happen. You will not, I don't think it'll be disappointed because I've not seen Princess and the Frog, the movie, but I'm just telling you, you don't have to have any background in the movie to be blown away by this experience. So we'll talk about all the dining, the stateroom, the Castaway Cay was Castaway Cay. It's the same thing. Awesome. Cookies was great. All that stuff. But I'll tell you more about the ship, the shopping, all that stuff this week on the show. But my wife she had some takes on the cruise too. She has some takes on the Wish class ships versus the Dream Fantasy class ships versus the Wonder and the Magic, which I thought were pretty good because she's kind of more of a norm than the rest of us, and she had some good takes. So I'll share those this week too. But the ship had that new car smell everywhere you went. You know, like carpet has that new carpet whiff. Like our stateroom had that. The halls had that. And again, sailing at Christmas. This was not an official Very Maritime cruise, but they were playing Christmas music the entire cruise. Santa Claus did a meet and greet. Pam and I got to meet Santa Claus. We were the very first people in line to meet Santa. That's one person besides Mickey that I wanted to meet. I met 3 people. I met Santa. I met Mickey. I met 4. Belle came up to me when I was standing in line waiting to meet Santa. I was looking at the Christmas tree, telling Pam, I was like, look, that Christmas tree I don't think it has any like nautical ornaments on it. Maybe it does. We're kind of talking to each other. And somebody tapped me on the shoulder, and it was Belle. She goes, that's a lovely tree, isn't it? I said, yes, it is. We were just talking about how pretty that tree is here. She goes, oh, we have many of those back in the castle. And I was telling the beast that we need to have even more or something like that. I was like, that's so funny. And I didn't know what to say because I didn't even know Belle was in the atrium. And there she was in the blue dress. And so I told Pam, I was like, well, I guess I should get a picture. So I got a picture with Belle. That was pretty cool. Beauty and the Beast, right? Be Our Guest podcast. So that was fun. And another time, the 4th character I got a picture with was Donald Duck. And I got to tell you about this real quick and I'll talk about this on the podcast, but you guys can hear it first because you guys are the patrons. Because this was like totally up my alley. This was the last night of the cruise. And okay, a little background. I don't know if you guys know the duck thing that are on cruises. Dennis will know. So there's this thing on cruises been going on for like 5 years or more where people hide these rubber ducks. I have a ton of them. Here's one. If you're watching the video at youtube.com/BRGS podcast, people hide these little rubber ducks. They're different sizes. There's some kind of medium sized ones, small ones, and teeny tiny ones. They hide them all around cruise ships. You can hide them, you can seek them, you can do all kinds of stuff with them. People just, I don't know the whole story with them. I just kind of seek them. I don't hide them. I should hide them. Maybe I'll hide them next time. I know that I'm taking them out of the universe and I'm not putting them back in. So I know that I'm putting out bad mojo because I'm new to this whole thing. But I need to, next cruise, I promise to put some ducks out because I know that I've brought a whole bunch home because I got obsessed with this. This was kind of, I'll tell you why. So people hide these little ducks like everywhere. And I like 3 cruises, actually the podcast cruise in 23 on the Wish. When we did that podcast cruise, this is the first time I found out about this duck thing. And I found out at the very end of our cruise, like the second to last day or the last day, like I just happened to be like by an elevator and I saw a duck on top of the arrows, the indicators like for up or down. I saw a duck sitting up there. I was like, what's that? And this was like, oh yeah, the duck thing. And I'd heard about it online, but I'd never seen one. Like, oh, you take it and then you can rehide it or you can take it home or, you do whatever you want with it. So I was like, I want to take that duck home as a souvenir. I mean, you can do that. They're cheap. So I brought it home and I have then I was like obsessed for like because like 24 hours of the cruise left. So I'm finding some more ducks because I just like having mementos of things that were actually on the cruise with me. During the sailing to just have like, oh, that little duck sailed the cruise with me on the Disney Wish in 2023. So I have this little family of 5 ducks here on my left from the Disney Wish in 2023, that podcast cruise. And they sit here by my left speaker on my desk. And then actually Unless they got, there's two more back on the shelf, back, bigger ones back here. So those came from, maybe those were on the treasure. I can't remember. There's two more back here. So anyway, I told Pam on this cruise, we're going duck hunting. We're going to find these ducks. Cause now, like, this is a really big thing. There's even an app called SeaDuck, SeaDuck, where people can like put where they're hiding them and give clues and all this. I didn't do all that, but I found it, like, I found a blog or something talking about this, but nobody on our cruise like posted that they were hiding them or seeking them or anything. I looked, but I was just like, I'm going to be throughout our cruise, I'm going to have my head on a swivel and try to find some ducks. So the whole time we were on the cruise, I was always looking around the elevators. I was always looking around like the main areas, like the theater, the doorways, anywhere where there was like a ledge. I was always looking for a duck because some of them are really small. So I did find a lot of little ducks, and a lot of them were like little seasonal ducks. Some of them looked like little Santas or little elves. Some were like see-through. There was even like a little penguin. It wasn't even a duck. It was a penguin on a surfboard. A couple little Jesuses that were hidden. I mean, there was all kinds of little bitty things. And so I brought home a whole bunch. It was kind of fun. And what we did was, because normally I walk, I get my runs in the morning, and then I walk in the late morning and walk in the afternoon. That's my 3 times I do my exercise for the day. So what Pam and I would do is sometime through the day, we go duck hunting. We just walk around the ship and just kind of look around and see if we found any ducks. And what it became was a great way. And they were also in the stairwells. You had to look in the stairwells and by the elevator banks. And remember, on the Wish class ships, there's only forward and aft elevators. There's no midship elevators. So we go up, 4 or 5 flights of stairs, look at, because there's always awesome artwork on the Wish class ships in every stairwell. So we'd look at the artwork, look at the carpet, but we'd also check all the ledges and everything for the ducks, all the elevator banks. And we'd call, and remember, they get restocked constantly, like, because people are hiding them in all the time. So you might go by and a half hour later, there might be a duck where there wasn't a duck earlier. So, a couple times a day, we'd go duck hunting. So we just walk the ship and just walk around, maybe get an ice cream cone up on deck 11, take our cups, get a soda up there, but then, decide, we're going to walk on decks 4, 5, and 6 and see if there's any ducks down there, decks 2 and 3. And what it did was it let us see the artwork, it let us see the carpets, let us see we got to see the entire ship that way, but we called it duck hunting. So I came home with a whole bunch of ducks. I took a whole bunch of ducks out of the ecosystem, but it was fun. I mean, it was a good way to get in your steps. And I have all these ducks that make me happy because they're little memories of the cruise. I remember where I found a lot of them. Like, oh yeah, that was sitting on deck 5 by the Luna Lounge, the Sega Lounge, which is the adult area. I found this one in Triton's, which is the little D lounge for that ship, for the Destiny. That's kind of a fun little thing. So just something to think about. But yeah, we went duck hunting. It's like the 1980s game with a little laser gun. We went duck hunting and got our steps in. So that's kind of one of the things we did. So a little preview there. All right. So let's talk about the feed. Oh, by the way, this time last week, I was on my way to the Bahamas, and it was nice and warm. I had on shorts, and it was awesome. It is currently 14 degrees, and the wind chill is going to get to -20 by tomorrow night. -20. There's a wind chill watch. Why did I come home? Like, what's wrong with me? There's like a warning for the wind chill. It's so cold here. I'm here in the studio. I got my warmest Carhartt, like, double sweatshirt that my mother-in-law got me a couple years ago because I'm always cold. I have this on and a long sleeve shirt under it, and I'm still freezing. It's freezing here. Yeah, last week I was winning. I got a lot more to talk about Lauderdale's airport and all kinds of stuff and what we did in Lauderdale. You're going to get all kinds of good stuff on the podcast this week. But that was just one thing. We went duck hunting. We didn't kill any ducks, but I did bring a lot of ducks home. All right, let's hit the feedback from last week's show about the holidays and sports, the good and the bad. You get to do a lot of cool stuff with having family that work in sports, but also sometimes you miss your family because they work on the holidays a lot or they play. Trisha said, oh, and I also commented on that I got a pair of running shoes, which I've already put a bajillion miles on. I use those on the cruise. She says, I get at least 2 pairs of running shoes a year. I gauge it by my foot and knee comfort. We've been digging out from snow here, which led to my husband finally agreeing to an artificial tree. No more sap, no more needles. Hubby and kiddo were complaining of the lack of pine smell, so I bought some wax melts from Magic Candle Company and have had the little old Christmas shop scent going. I love it. It smells exactly like Magic Kingdom, so everybody wins. That sounds cool. We don't have any smell. We've always had artificial trees because as a kid I was allergic to real trees. Like I guess I was allergic. I mean, the doctor said I was allergic to real trees as young, like first, second grader, and so they couldn't have one in my elementary school classroom because we did have one in my like kindergarten classroom, and I used to wheeze and stuff. I had really bad asthma as a kid, and allergies and stuff like that. And we've always had an artificial tree, but we've never had anything that smelled. But man, that sounds good to me. Trisha continues. I don't have anyone in my family that misses holidays due to work. Occasionally, I am scheduled for a holiday, but only go in for a few eating disorder admits. I feel family member absences more around special non holiday events. My brother lives in Baltimore and has missed all of my daughter's concerts and birthdays. She doesn't have any cousins or any other aunts or uncles, so an absence is noticeable. We try our best to especially make birthdays special for her. This year, she will meet new family members from the BOGP as her birthday is the same day as the meetup. Very, very cool. And happy birthday to Lorelai. Yeah, I- it is. I mean, you try to never miss special milestone birthdays, especially for kids if you can, because it's so special. I mean, it's special to the adults too. Don't get me wrong. I'm a 52, I almost said 51. I'm 52 now, 52-year-old big kid. And I don't want anybody to miss my birthday either, but I understand it. But I mean, especially for the kids, you want to be there for them because it means so much. All right. Thanks for the great feedback, Trisha. And she's killing it down at Walt. The last night she posted a picture laid up in her bed at Pop Century watching a movie, and I'm like, that is that not the best way to end a day at Pop Century? Sometimes fireworks are great, but you got to fight the madness of the Magic Kingdom. She was just chilling on a Friday night. Pop Century, favorite movie on there. I think she had a sweet treat, maybe a tie-dyed cheesecake. She's winning. I mean, she was like outsmarting everybody. It was the best. Here's Paul. Paul says, Mike, I think I'm backlogged a couple of shows again. Thanks so much for sharing the story of Paige and her four parents. I wouldn't have the last name I do if my dad wasn't adopted by his stepdad. The more love, the better. That story meant so much to me. And to quote you quoting High School Musical, we're all in this together, LOL. I'm so happy for you. Mizzou is keeping Drinkwitz, MIZ. And for the Aaron Andrews article, thanks for the perfect detail on both perspectives. It's not sports, but having a son 1,000 miles away isn't easy. But I'm happy he's happy and living his best life. You really summed up my feelings well. Paige, your daughter is something special. She's one of the first people I think of when I think of, here I am, send me. The way she helps her players go well beyond what most will ever see or know about. It is a calling, and she's so good at it. She will continue to do great work in the future. God bless her, and Merry Christmas. Paul, Merry Christmas to you. And you always, people don't know this, but Paul always sends me encouraging emails, just a couple sentences a lot of times, and just, how you doing? And I hope you're doing well. And I appreciate that so much. And that's kind of how our whole community is with the Discord and the clubhouse and everything. And just our community. I am so thankful. I was telling Pam this on the cruise. You look back on your year as we get towards the end of it, you had all these like Spotify Wrapped, right? And you see like they do it at the beginning of December, right? It's like the year's over. Well, no, it's actually only 11/12 over. We still got December. Oh, strap in. But we're almost to the end of the year, and you start to reflect. And as you get older, you reflect more. And I don't think I'm old, but I do start to. I've always been nostalgic, and I've always been thoughtful in how I look at things. And I don't know. I think I'm more. I think I have more gratitude in my life lately, and I wish there was a stronger word to say to all of you guys than thank you, because I'm so gracious and grateful every time I hear a beep in the clubhouse and the Discord, because I keep that audio alert on every time somebody posts there. And I know it probably drives Pam crazy, but she's so loving. She doesn't say a thing, because when we're driving in my Jeep or driving in her car and I hook my phone to the radio, because we only have when I play Apple Music or something and it plays through her car system through the Bluetooth. Whenever anybody posts, like we'll be listening to Christmas music, and it always goes "Ba-doop, ba-doop, ba-doop," during the like Frank Sinatra was singing a Christmas song. We were coming home from Texas Roadhouse tonight, and somebody must have posted something pretty good because it was 3 or 4 times during a song. It's like "Ba-doop, ba-doop, ba-doop." She never says a thing, but it is kind of annoying if you're trying to enjoy the Christmas songs and stuff. But what it does, it warms my heart because what it is, it's our family interacting. I know this sounds crazy, but what it is, it's my mental picture. Yeah, I say it's like our little cheers, but what it is to me, virtually in my head, it's like somebody walking through the door and saying, "Hey, Jason. Hey, Trisha. Hey, Paul. Hey, Billy. Hey, Kayla. Hey, everybody. Hey, Maria. What's going on? I just wanted to check in on you. How you doing on a Saturday night, or how you doing on a Monday morning, or Grace, I hope your week gets better. We're celebrating the best thing. It doesn't have to be a big thing. Like it's a stupid ice cream on a Saturday night, or it's Brenton going to Dallas to see a football game. We can celebrate that, or a rainy day in Seattle. I've never been to Seattle. I know it's a boring thing for him, but it's a cool thing for me. I've never seen the Space Needle. It's making my world bigger. I know it's a virtual space, but every time you take a chance to post there, you take the time to share a little piece of your world, you come over to our Discord and share a little bit of you, it makes my world a little bigger. And I like that we have a community like that where we pick each other up and care about each other. And I'm grateful for that. I just want to tell you that because every little beep does. It's like somebody come in my head. I picture this little virtual cheers, people coming in and out, as dumb as that sounds. And everybody's saying, "Hey, Maria, what's up? Welcome in. I hope you're doing well." And then, you walk out and you're gone for a little bit and you come back in. That's kind of how it is. You pick up your phone, boom, you're back in. You're in the clubhouse for a little while. And then you got to go do something else. And I hope you all picture it that way. I'm glad we have that. I just hate that we didn't have something like that with the podcast for years. We had the message boards, which that was. And then for years when the message boards died, when social media took over, we kind of had an empty space. And I'm glad we have it back. I love it. All right, Dennis down in Texas. I didn't read the article in which Erin Andrews commented about her work schedule. I find it unfortunate that she's getting criticism for this. I suspect she was simply answering a question that was asked of her in an interview, and then it was clipped for social media and received backlash. That's exactly what happened, Dennis, by the way. Yes, she's well compensated, and I bet she knows that, but every job has its downsides, and we seldom pick a career without knowing what those are. Growing up, my family often had holidays impacted by work schedules. My dad was in an emergency room physician. Unfortunately, medical emergencies don't take the holidays off. So the doctors working in the emergency room rotated who had what holidays off and what shifts they worked every year. We had plenty of really early Thanksgiving dinners so my dad could get to his shift. We also had really late Christmas celebrations some years after he finished his shift. Was he well compensated for his work? Yes. Was it sacrificed nonetheless? Also, yes. Yeah, Dennis, you're exactly right. I mean, there's flexibility in it, right? I mean, it's a celebration isn't exactly like 3 o'clock on Thursday on Thanksgiving. It's people you're with. If you have to have it on Friday at noon, it's still Thanksgiving. You're thankful for the people you're with, and that's what it's all about. It's perspective because my dad gets to do what he loves. I've said this many times. My dad would do his job for free. He doesn't get paid a ton, by the way, for what he does. He has a cool job being the radio engineer for the Rams, but he doesn't get paid a ton, and he would do it for free. I promise you that. He is 72 years old. He is the oldest chief engineer of the radio in the NFL. I promise you. Most of the guys doing his job are in their 40s, probably. I doubt there's anybody in their 50s. My dad is 72 hauling this stuff across the country, and he drives to some of the games. He drove to Charlotte last week for the Panthers game because the flights were so expensive over the Thanksgiving weekend. He loves what he does. My dad has a passion for his job. But I love that he gets to do what he does. Paige, same way. God put her there for a reason. She helps that community. She helps those girls. She helps that team, and she loves what she's good at what she does. She has a degree in biochemistry. She could be using that degree, but there's a reason she does what she does. I'm never going to fault that. I'm going to be proud of her. I am so proud of her. She is absolutely where she needs to be. And I just want her to keep chasing that path, because there's going to be so many girls, women that go through that program that are going to be impacted by things that they have got to do that Paige has put into practice. Last week, just a couple days ago, they were in a lower socioeconomic elementary school giving out coats and books and Christmas presents for kids that might not get them. And the smiles on the teachers' faces, the kids' faces, they brought Sparky, who's the UIC mascot, this little flame guy. He looks kind of like a Sun Devil guy because of the flames. And he was interacting with these old, third, fourth, fifth graders. Greatest thing ever. Like, to have a job like that where you get to bring joy and get to help out kids, give a kid a coat in Chicago. The wind chill in Chicago is going to be 30 below tonight, 30 below zero. You think a kid having a coat isn't life-changing tonight? It is. So was I at first, like when she got a biochemistry degree and she's got a couple of master's degrees and other things through Mizzou, and then I'm like, oh, you're going to run a basketball team. That's kind of different. No, this is real life. Like, she is making differences for people. She is helping people. And in the end, that's what matters. I'm so proud of her. So if I don't get to have turkey with Paige on Thanksgiving, that's me being selfish. I get to see her Christmas though. And let me tell you, it's like in a week. She's coming home on the 20th. Am I excited? I'm so excited. I'll have all four of us under one roof. This is one happy dad. I can't wait. But I won't be selfish over it. And Trisha, my good friend out in India, but she's happy about the Heisman Trophy. It just happened. Go Fernando. He gave a great speech. He's so grateful. I love the story of how he takes care of his mom, his family. I can't argue. I'm not a Big Ten guy. I'm an SEC guy, but I did not want Diego to win. Sorry if we have any Vandy fans. I was Fernando all the way. I'm glad he won. So even though also we had Jeremiah Love, who's from St. Louis, who played against Francis Howell. And he seems like a nice kid, but he tore up Francis Howell, so I didn't want him to win. so it's okay. Fernando all the way. He seemed like a very appreciative young man. So go Fernando. IU. Hoosiers. All right. Trisha says, Mike, as someone who finally gave in and bought new shoes a few weeks ago, please don't do that to your feet. Us Gen Xers just can't. I suffered all summer with a pair of shoes I hated and my legs and feet were killing me. I got new shoes about a month ago, and I cannot tell you how much better I feel. Please be nice to your feet. At the amount you run, you really should be getting new shoes like every 2 months. I know you know this, but I know you know this and get it. I'm cheap too. I'm almost there. I'll probably get a new pair. So the ones I got for my birthday are going to last me until marathon weekend for training. And then I'll get a new pair that I won't wear again until I'll get what I call my racers. I always get my racers for Christmas, and I'll wear those for the first time for the 5K, the 10K, the half, and the full. Then I'll put them back in the box until Disneyland. Then I'll wear them for the 5, the 10, and the half at Disneyland. Then I'll use them all next year for training. That's how I roll. So that's how this will go. But yeah. And the good news is I'm having surgery right after the Disneyland half, so I won't have tear up my shoes so fast next year because I won't be running as much. So there you go. Is that good news? Probably not good news, but it's good news for my shoes. Anyway, if you have feedback on this show or any other show, this is wild. Just patreon.com/Be Our Guest Podcast. All right, feedback or no main topic for this week. Not going to be long because I've already gone super long. Flying this week. Got to go to 2 new airports, and I want to talk about airports because I'm obsessed with airports. For those of you that have been around for the 18, almost 19-year journey of the Be Our Guest podcast, you remember that I was scared to fly for about the first 7 or 8 years of the podcast. I would not get on an airplane. I would drive to Florida every time we went down 3 or 4 times a year. We'd load up the Trailblazer. We'd put a trailer on the back, take all Mallory's stuff, and we would just drive down. It was about 15 and a half hours each way if we drove fast. And I didn't mind it. It was fine, but I eventually got to the point where my back it was just tore up and it was just too much to drive. And I finally said, suck it up, Buttercup. I watched a ton of videos. My dad always told me like flying's way safer than driving. You're going to kill yourself driving through Chattanooga. in those mountains of northern Georgia and eastern Tennessee in the middle of the night. Just you're gonna fall asleep, you're gonna kill your family. He's like, just get on an airplane, it's safer. And so finally I listened to my dad. And for one wine and dine weekend, I can't remember what it was, I guess 2016. It's when the Cubs won the World Series. Um, I did it and I haven't turned back since. So I've always been obsessed with airports, though. Airports are cool. Like to me, I know some people hate airports. I think they're cool because I was like, it was like a no go zone for me when I was scared to fly. And if you think about airports, kind of like malls. Like, but the thing is, there's people from everywhere in an airport. Like people are coming and going. There's airport employees, which are from the town, obviously, where where the airport is. But then the travelers, they could be from anywhere. They could be from anywhere on the face of the planet, just passing through. I mean, they're there for a brief moment in time, coming and going, and they're gone. And again, I just like going through airports and going through the gates and seeing like Fort Lauderdale, Las Vegas, Boise, Idaho, Austin, Texas, Los Angeles, Chicago, Durham, North Carolina. You just go down the line, you see all these gates. You're like, man, these people are going to all these places. And you see like, yeah, are these people? And I'm just one of those people. I'm always thinking like, are they going on vacation? Are they going on work trips? Are they going home? Like, because I always think, again, I think it's maybe it's me like still being like a 3-year-old, but I think that if I'm at my home airport, everybody's going away. Everybody's going either on vacation, they're going on a work trip. Nobody's going home from St. Louis, right? Everybody's going to a destination, which that's not the case. Probably 50% of those people are going home. They're getting out of Dodge. They're getting out of St. Louis, right? They're going to they live in Topeka or they live in Pensacola or whatever. They live in Vegas. But I don't see it that way because I'm a St. Louisan. Anyway, I just like going and like my brain works that way. I always think about everybody's narrative, like how people are dressed. Like some people in suits, some people in like athletic clothes. I tend to travel in athletic clothes. Some people, like you see sports teams passing through a lot of times. You see people with golf clubs, people with athletic gear, people in cowboy hats. It's great people watching at an airport. Plus, like airports kind of like old shopping malls because you have like the Hudson. I like going in the Hudson all the time. I don't buy much, but a Coke Zero. But the Hudson's got a little bit of everything. It's in every airport. You got the little candy stores. You got, all of the restaurants, and some of them are like local places, right? Like up in Midway, we stopped in Midway for like a 4-hour layover, and I had dinner at the Big Chicken, Big City Chicken. It was like a ripoff Chick-fil-A that was super expensive and not very good. But I texted a picture to Paige. She said decent. It wasn't decent. It was terrible, but it was like a mall. But airports are kind of cool because of all the people and the hustle and bustle going through. But I always wonder, like, what's everybody's story? And during the holidays, this is kind of what I want to talk about. Oh, also, by the way, one of my favorite movies of all time is The Terminal with Tom Hanks. If that movie's on, I have to watch it every time. Like being stuck in the terminal and that whole story. I love that movie, obviously, because it's set in an airport. But I when we were stuck in Midway there for that 4-hour layover, we were tired. Like we had flown out of Lauderdale, had to stop in Midway on the way home, and then we're so close to being home because only like an hour flight back to St. Louis. We were there for like 4 hours, so I was just kind of walking around trying to find something to eat. Pam was sitting down; she didn't want to get something to eat, and I saw people. The mall was all decorated, the airport was all decorated, very pretty. Midway with all these Christmas ornaments, Christmas trees, Christmas music playing. It was beautiful. People hustling and bustling, but there's an airport bar in the middle, people working on their laptops, people like in business suits and stuff. And I just wondering to myself, like, it kind of made me sad because I wish all these people, are these people missing their families? At least I was with my wife, but like, I could not wait to get home to see Mallory. And I could not wait to get home to see Riley. Like I wanted to be with my family and I knew I was only an hour flight away. I was going to be home within the next couple of hours to be home. But I wondered, like, are these people that are here in this airport, like, are they going to get to see their family tonight? Are they going to get to see their family in the next couple of days? They can get to see their family for the holidays. It kind of made me sad not knowing that. And also Paige is in the city, but because we're flying, just passing through, we're just, connecting. we're not going to get to see Paige. Or that kind of made me sad because we were like so close, but so far away. She was like a half hour away on Find My Friends. Um, but yeah, like airports are interesting because you see people and you see, people that are just totally by themselves in business suits, working on their laptops, and you wonder are they going to get home for the holidays? And I hope that they do. And I hope that they have somebody to go home to. But you also see the opposite, right? And you see this a lot if you're flying to Walt Disney World, which most of us do at your home departure airport. This is what I see at Walt Disney World or at Lambert, which is our home airport. Whenever I fly to Florida, like when I get to go to Disney World for a marathon weekend here in about a month, is that when I go to my gate, that's the Orlando gate, it's always fun. That's a fun gate to be at because you'll see everybody in their Disney stuff. You'll see ears. You'll see, especially marathon weekend, a lot of people in the Run Disney gear because I'll be on the first flight that Wednesday heading down. And there's like a chatter. People see each other in the Run Disney gear, so you know you're going to be a runner. So you talk about it. There's like a camaraderie all the way at the gate. And that flight down's fun because everybody kind of has something in common. Not most people, but a lot of people on that flight are going to Walt Disney World. They're Disney fans. They have something in common. That's an exciting gate. You don't feel the same when you go to, I don't know, like Tulsa. Maybe. I don't know. I've never flown to Tulsa. But like we went to Fort Lauderdale and there were a lot of people. Oh, I do got to tell you this, okay? Because I think I said this on the Discord. Because we flew to Fort Lauderdale, right? Instead of Orlando, because we cruised out of Lauderdale. This was the Golden Girls gate because we were like one of the youngest people at that gate, dude. It was all old people. And I mean, old people. You should have seen the line of wheelchairs to get on that plane. They should have played Thank You for Being a Friend in the jetway getting on the plane because it was crazy. And all these old ladies, and I love old ladies. Don't get me wrong. You know me. I'm like I go where the old people eat. I love my elders. I mean, I'm an old person lover, but it was so funny because I felt like I was with my grandma, like God rest her soul. Both of my grandmas, my grandma Eileen and my grandma Ruth, they could have, because my grandmas were friends because they lived a couple streets away from each other and they got along great. They hung out together all the time. I felt like my two grandmas were back from the grave because these old ladies, like they didn't know each other, but they met each other right there sitting at the seats at the gate. They're talking to each other. Two of them were named Jeanette because I remember they talked to each other. I'm Jeanette, you're Jeanette. And they talked about how they spelled each other. They're sitting right across from me for like an hour. I didn't have anything to do but listen. I had my AirPods in, but they were on transparency mode. So they're talking to each other. They're going on the same cruise ship. One was on deck 8, one was on deck 7. It was a MSC cruise or something. It wasn't Royal. It wasn't Disney. I was making sure they weren't. I didn't know if they're going to be on my ship or not. But they were talking about they're going to meet in the casino. They were going to do this. They were going to go to the Central Park. They're going to do this. But it was killing me because they were probably like maybe 75 or 80. But man, they were going to be up all night. Like they have bigger plans than I did. And it was so funny. But that's the thing about airports. They're the best people watching. And like these ladies were living their best life. And that made me happy. But there was so much of that at this gate. But I swear Pam and I were some of the youngest people at the gate. In Orlando, we're not, right? It's a lot of kids. There's a ton of kids, a ton of families. And we're on the opposite end of that at this point. But it's exciting to see for us. So we flipped the script on the Fort Lauderdale gate. But airports are fun for me because I didn't get to go to them for so long when I was scared to fly. And they're just a little microcosm of the world, right? You could see anything at an airport. And for me too, airports they're way more exciting on the way out than on the way back. But the way back is still an adventure. Like I got to see the Fort Lauderdale airport, never saw it before. Had a good Cuban sandwich. Hadn't had a Cuban sandwich in ages. Got to have one of those down there. And it's fun to see how they're structured and get to see that part of the world, all the Department of Tourism signs, how do they put forth their best advertisements for their city? Like, what are they proud of? Like, they're proud of the Florida Panthers down there in Fort Lauderdale, which I thought was cool. It's neat to see what they're proud of and like what makes them tick. But the real thing that I wanted to leave you with was like during the holidays, I love to see the holiday decorations. Both airports, Midway and Fort Lauderdale, FLL, had their Christmas decorations, Christmas music, all that stuff up, which made me super happy. But again, I just kept wondering when I saw people, I'm like, the people, especially the people that were traveling by themselves, kind of sitting there working on laptops and stuff. I, I just wanted to know that I hope that they get home for the holidays. I hope that the people that are home that miss them get to see them, and hope the people that I saw in the airports do get to get their business done if they're on a business trip or whatever they're getting done, and they have a successful trip, and that they safely get home, and that they get to be home with their loved ones, because I know that travel's fun, but home is where the heart is, and I hope that they get home. So I don't know, how do you feel about airports? I love that they're like mini malls, like kind of like going back to the 80s with the shopping mall, which I love shopping malls, but man, they're the best people watching. And some gates are better than others. The Disney gates, the Orlando gate going out, always a good one. Los Angeles can be the same, not as much. When I go to Disneyland, not as much, because a lot of times you got to connect. Sometimes you got to go to like in St. Louis, you got to go to Denver. You got to go to Phoenix sometimes. Sometimes you got to go to Vegas, and then you get to Disneyland, to Anaheim or to LAX or John Wayne or something. So it's not as exciting. But Orlando Gate, usually a party. Usually a party. So give me your thoughts. What do you think on airports? Again, patreon.com/Be Our Guest Podcast. Live show tomorrow night. That's Sunday night, 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Central. Give me a call. Scott will be on with me. We'll have a good time. So let's do it. So until then, I hope you guys are having a great weekend. Stay warm. It's so cold. But hope you're having a great holiday season. I appreciate y'all. I'm so thankful for you guys. I'll see you over in the clubhouse. Beep, beep. Have a good weekend. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you real soon.